Welcome, everyone, and let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive topic that is probably being debated in a tech boardroom right this very second: the state of Java compared to Python in 2026. But we aren't just going to look at popularity contests here. We're going to dig into the actual data and the raw engineering mechanics that are driving the biggest systems on the planet.
So, with Python absolutely dominating the conversation lately, especially with the explosive wildfire growth of AI and machine learning, you might actually be asking yourself if Java is finally losing its edge. And honestly, it's a totally fair question. If you look at modern developer boot camps or brand new tech stocks, Python is literally everywhere. But is that really the whole story? Let's see what the data actually tells us about where these two heavyweight languages live and breathe today.
There is this incredible paradox between public perception and enterprise reality right now. Python's explosive popularity is completely undeniable. It currently sits at #1 on the TOB index with a nearly 21% share, which is the widest gap in the index's entire 25-year history. But then you look at the enterprise side. According to the latest Azul State of Java survey, a staggering 99% of organizations are actively using Java today. So Python absolutely owns the buzz, but Java undeniably owns the infrastructure. To make sense of all this, here is our roadmap. We're going to cover the 2026 language landscape, the enterprise backbone, inside the JVM engine, the Java 25 modernization, and we'll wrap things up with the hybrid architecture future. Okay, starting with part 1, the 2026 language landscape. Let's see how developer mindshare is actually distributed right now. When it comes to developer usage, Python's massive mindshare advantage is super clear. It's capturing nearly 58% of developers, while Java sits at about 30%. And it makes sense, right? Python has effectively become the default language for data science, AI, and startup MVPs because it deliberately optimizes for developer velocity. It's incredibly easy to read and write, and it has an unmatched ecosystem for machine learning. Basically, if you're launching a brand new AI-driven project today, Python is the pragmatic, hands-down first choice. Moving on to part 2, the enterprise backbone. This is where we start to understand why Java isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Here is the reality check we all need to hear. A whopping 62% of Fortune 500 companies still rely on Java. Why? Well, because it remains the load-bearing structural steel of big business. We're talking about critical banking cores, complex insurance claims processing, and high-frequency trading platforms. For these multi-decade enterprise systems, unshakable stability, strict type safety, and 20-year backward compatibility matter infinitely more than whatever the latest coding trend happens to be. And it's not just about supporting legacy code. It's about raw, heavy lifting power under serious pressure. When we look at raw performance metrics for enterprise backends, Java running on the Spring Boot framework handles up to 60,000 requests per second per core. That is roughly double what Python's absolute fastest frameworks, like FastAPI, can manage under similar conditions. When you're processing millions of financial transactions every single day, that kind of raw throughput isn't just a nice-to-have. It is absolutely critical for survival. Let's move into part 3, inside the JVM engine. We really need to understand the architecture that makes this insane performance possible. Java's whole write once, run anywhere philosophy relies entirely on JVM bytecode. Instead of compiling directly to machine code that only works on one specific type of server hardware, Java compiles to this highly optimized intermediate representation. The Java virtual machine then translates it on the fly. This is huge because it flawlessly shields developers from hardware-specific complexities, which means massive enterprise applications can scale across incredibly diverse cloud environments without breaking a sweat. Now, garbage collection, the system that automatically frees up memory, used to be a big pain point. Java used to get heavily criticized for lag or pause times when the garbage collector kicked in. But modern garbage collection has totally changed the game. Recent DACapo benchmarks show that even for incredibly heavy workloads like Cassandra databases or Tomcat servers, modern GC achieves impressively low millisecond pause times. We're talking about 1 to 2 milliseconds for the vast majority of operations. That is near instantaneous memory management happening completely invisibly under the hood. Next up, part 4, Java 25 modernization. Because Java's definitely not just sitting still, it's undergoing this steady, very methodical refinement. The strategy here is actually brilliant. Instead of making radical, sweeping changes that would instantly break millions of existing applications, Java 25 introduces targeted features to reduce friction. You've got JEP 512 for compact source files, which makes it way easier for beginners to learn without drowning in boilerplate code. Add in flexible constructor bodies and a new key derivation function API to boost security natively, and it's clear the goal is boosting developer velocity while rigorously protecting that sacred backward compatibility. One of the most crucial quality of life updates is how Java 25 swaps out the older, clunky thread local approach for scoped values. In the past, thread local could hide state and make concurrent programming, where multiple complex things are happening at the exact same time, really frustrating to trace and debug. Scoped values fix this by making context sharing simple and safe. They only exist within a defined scope and vanish the second they're done. It just makes concurrent programming so much cleaner. The takeaway here is that Java isn't trying to be Python. It knows exactly what it is. It's just becoming a more optimized, highly refined version of itself. It's actively making code simpler, safer, and more expressive, while ensuring that the critical business logic your company wrote 10 years ago will still compile and run flawlessly today. And finally, part 5, the hybrid architecture future. Let's look at how modern CTOs are actually deploying these languages in the real world. Because honestly, the whole Java versus Python debate is kind of a false dichotomy at the enterprise level. The most successful tech giants, think Netflix, Spotify, Airbnb, they aren't choosing between Java and Python. They are choosing both. They operate what's called a polyglot architecture. You wouldn't use a hammer to drive a screw, right? So you certainly don't use Python for a high-frequency trading core, just like you wouldn't use Java to train a massive large language model. In a modern production stack, the division of labor is actually incredibly complementary. Java acts as the highly secure, lightning-fast structural foundation. It handles the heavy transactions, runs the complex business logic, and guarantees that sub-50 millisecond latency. Meanwhile, Python steps in as the dynamic, highly specialized brain. It takes care of data engineering, machine learning models, and AI capabilities through microservices that communicate perfectly back to that unshakable Java core. So as we wrap up this explainer, the biggest thing to remember is to stop looking at this as a zero-sum game. Instead, ask yourself, how can you leverage the specific, refined strengths of both of these incredible engines to build the ultimate enterprise stack? Which language is going to define your next workload, and how will you seamlessly integrate the other? Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep building smart.